So today I thought I would go over the different types of RVs you can get, why I chose the one I did, how I feel about it, and intelligence I've gathered from fellow RVers about the pluses and minuses of the other types. So I'll start with the one that confused me the most when I first started. I wondered what the heck is a fifth wheel and what does that mean? And here is a fifth wheel. This is a travel that you pull with a truck. This is a trailer that you pull with a truck, and it's called a fifth wheel because of the way it's attached to a hitch that is not at the typical ball hitch that you have at the end of a truck. It's a hitch that's in the center of the bed of the pickup truck, and it has some big advantages in terms of stability and maneuverability. Stability because hitch weight is the amount of weight that's on your hitch, and pin weight is the amount of weight that is over your fifth wheel hitch, and it's a more solid, even distribution over the rear of your truck, results in more stability, and you can easily pull much bigger trailers. And fifth wheels are anywhere from 30 to I don't know what the longest one is, but in the low 40s is about as big as they get, and they get up to triple axles, and they're luxurious. You can spend anywhere from $40,000-$50,000 for a used one to $200,000 or more for a new luxury one. There's a wide variety, and you need a big truck to haul these things. And the trucks that we're most familiar with is the most popular one is the Ford F-150. And that size is a half-ton truck. And a half-ton truck does not work for a fifth wheel. I mean, I guess there might be a mini fifth wheel somewhere that it could handle. But for the most part, it's an unacceptable truck for power and tow capacity for a fifth wheel. The next step up be a 3/4 ton truck like an F-250, or a 1-ton truck, which is even larger, like an F-350 or even F-450. Now, so it's really critical if you feel like, hey, a fifth wheel is for me, you got to get the right truck. And I would consult multiple sources for the sizing of that truck, and do not rely on just what the guy selling you the trailer says you need. Get your facts. You want to be safe. Why would someone want a fifth wheel? And I may want one someday, because as comfortable as I am in my rig, which is quite a bit smaller, I'm going to talk about my rig in a little while, it's substantially smaller. It's less than half the size of a typical fifth wheel. A fifth wheel with generous slide outs is like living in a luxury apartment, and it's very, very comfortable. And certainly, if I were living with someone else, where I am would be too small, and I would be looking at something a little bit bigger, and maybe a fifth wheel. So the next rig is a travel trailer, and travel trailers come in a variety of sizes, from very small to only 10 feet. There could be smaller ones out there, all the way up to, you can buy a 40-foot travel trailer. And they also call them bumper pools, because unlike fifth wheels, you have a hitch on the back of your truck that you attach the trailer to. Bumper pull. It's just as important to have the right size truck for what you're pulling. Pardon me. The truck I'm riding on now is a Ford F-150. It's a 3.5 liter EcoBoost, and it has a rated 11,000 pounds tow capacity. And that isn't the only number that you want to look at. You want to look at things like gross vehicle weight, tongue weight, the total weight, including your trailer, your tanks full of water, and all your stuff in it. There are a lot of factors to consider, and I really urge you to consult. There are lots of experts on YouTube on determining safety when pulling a trailer, and how to determine what's safe, what isn't safe, and what size rig you need. And I'm not the channel for that because I'm not an expert. There's a Big Truck, Big RV is a big channel, and he knows a lot about towing and rigs, and I would consult his channel. That's what I would do. At any rate, I have a very small trailer. It's a Micro Mini made by Winnebago. It's 21 feet, and the gross vehicle weight is, well, I'll put the weights and everything up here, but it's, you know, we're talking around 5,000 pounds, and if I went crazy and overloaded it, maybe 6,000 pounds. So I'm well under the capabilities of my F-150. So it tows it without any kind of a problem. My little trailer has, you can see on the side view of it, it has pretty high ground clearance for a trailer. It's a higher ground clearance than most fifth wheels that I see. This enables me to get the trailer in, if I am careful and go slowly, to many more remote places. Now, my truck's not four-wheel drive, so I don't go crazy with that, but I've got good ground clearance, and it makes my trailer versatile. So now we're on to another type, and the truck camper. And truck campers are instead of towing a trailer, the camper actually sits in the bed of the truck. And again, the size of the truck becomes critical depending on the size of the camper. Now, there are campers that are made for, very lightweight campers that are made for half-ton pickup trucks. They are few and far between. They're small, and they're probably not very comfortable. So if you're thinking of full-time living, you're going to need a much bigger truck camper, and it means you're going to need a bigger truck. So again, I repeat myself on how important it is to determine the right truck for the right camper. Do not just trust what the salesperson that's selling you the camper says that you need. Many of them are very competent. Unless I knew them personally and knew about their competence, I would not trust the word of the person that is just going to be making money off you buying the rig. And that's just me. It's unique in that you can treat a truck camper as a non-detachable one unit thing, and every time you move the whole thing, unlike a fifth wheel or a travel trailer where you can camp and detach the vehicle and run around in the vehicle without your trailer. However, you can do that with a truck camper. I think it's a little bit more complex to get it off, but generally you can, there's these sort of pneumatic struts that are attached to the camper that go on the outside that allow you to raise and lower the camper. So there has to be a way to get it on, right? Well, there's a way to get it off, and you can leave it freestanding and drive your truck away. I don't see a lot of people doing that. The one person that I know, Frugal RV Gal, you might want to check her channel out. She has a truck camper, and I've never seen it detached. If she's going to go into town, she's taking it all with her, and that's just the way she rolls. And I think many people with truck campers do it that way, but there is the option of treating it like a trailer, leave it at camp, and take your truck into town. And there are a variety of these things. And if you're got a dually that's a 1-ton, like a F-350, and with a long bed, you can put a pretty big camper on there. It can be pretty comfortable. So is that something I would consider in the future? Yeah, absolutely, I would consider that. Then we have what they call Class B camper vans. And these are on either a Dodge chassis or a Sprinter van chassis, meaning these are units that are tall. You can walk in the back and you can stand up and walk around, versus the kind of van where you have to be hunched over. And there are a number of companies that build these things out, and you can spend $250,000 on one of these things that has all the bells and whistles and huge lithium battery banks and every fancy gadget you can think of. You can spend $250,000 on a camper van. They are small, certainly smaller than my trailer. They generally, the max is about 24 feet. They make them 22, 24 feet. There's a class called the Super B, which is a little wider, maybe a little longer. At any rate, they're generally pretty good on gas mileage. There's no detachment. It's all in one unit. You drive in your steering wheel and where you drive and your engine, it's all in your home. And they're versatile in terms of places you can go and maneuverability. You can, even, driving through a drive-in at McDonald's, unlike, every other kind of RV that I'll be talking about here. If you are comfortable with two things, you're comfortable living full-time in that small pace, and many people are, many couples are. You can see examples of this all over YouTube with successful YouTubers that are couples living in camper vans. So if you're comfortable in the space and you're okay with breaking camp each and every time you want to go someplace that you're not walking to, then this might be for you. And don't let the $250,000 scare you off. That's the top end. You can buy a used one, certainly, $50,000, $60,000. You can build out your own for a lot less. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of these. So camper vans are definitely an option. Then there is the Class A RV. And a Class A RV, here's what it looks like. It's fully enclosed like a camper van, but it's much bigger. It will go to the size of what I described for the fifth wheel. You can certainly spend $200,000 like you can on a fifth wheel, but you can also you can spend $2 million, and you can buy a good used one for $30,000. I've never owned a Class A, but I camped a lot. Certainly this winter I camped with two guys that both had Class A's, so I learned a lot about them. And the preference is what they call a diesel pusher. It's a diesel engine and it's in the rear. That is kind of the gold standard for Class A RVs. Now, what kind of diesel engine? Find someone that knows what they're talking about. I am clueless. My friend Tim that I camp with, if he would be so kind to put in the notes, what's the ideal kind of diesel engine to have on a diesel pusher, what to look for when you're buying a used Class A. Tim, if you would be willing to write a paragraph or two in the comments, I'm sure people would appreciate that. He's an expert, I'm not. If I had a question, I'd go to him. He has over a 20-year-old Class A RV that when you look at the outside or sit at his dinette and have dinner with him, you would swear you're in a brand new RV. Not only has he made some improvements to it, but he takes care of it meticulously. Anyway, that is another option now, the whole issue of, wow, do I have to drive this big thing if I want to go to the grocery store? Yes, maybe. Yes, but there is the option that many people use, like my friend Tim, is they tow a small car behind it. For any decent diesel pusher, Class A, towing a small car behind it is not a big deal in terms of the power needed and the effect on gas mileage. Couple of caveats though. There's a term called flat towing. That means you can just hook a rig up to the front of your car and tow it with all four wheels on the ground, and that's called flat towing. And only very particular cars can you flat tow because of the configuration of the transmission and various other things. And then you can tow most cars on what they call a dolly. It's like half a trailer, or you can get a flat trailer and put your car up on the flat trailer. You don't have to worry about the tow vehicle's wheels turning at all. The other thing, whether you are flat towing or you're towing with a dolly or a trailer, is you can't really back up. Yeah, you can back up a couple of feet, but if you really get into trouble and backing up is the way out, you can't do it. You have to unhitch, turn your rig around, rehitch. There's no two ways about it. So people that do this learn, basically don't get into that kind of trouble. And, 2 out of 3 guys I camped with towed one with a big Class C and Tim with his Class A towed cars, and they joyfully drove their little car around, never had to move the rig. Daryl, another guy that decided to go the route of the motorcycle. He loves his motorcycle, so his transportation is a motorcycle that's basically strapped onto the back of his Class A. So, again, if I were traveling as a couple or a family, certainly a big Class A would be near the top of my list. And I definitely would want some kind of vehicle in tow that I can use to run around, because that is the thing that I really love about my setup. It's easy to hitch, easy to unhitch, and I put my trailer down, I secure it, and I got my pickup truck, and I can run around and do errands, drive around like I am right now. And I don't have to worry about towing anything, and right now it's ideal for me. So those are the different kinds of rigs, and they're basically, the best thing I heard about them is their advantages and disadvantages to all of them. And it's interchangeable. The most mobile and easy to get around in would be the Class B van, but it's also the smallest, and it requires you to break camp every time you want to go someplace. The Class A RV, a really big one, is going to give you maybe the most comfort that you can have, and security too. I mean, if something happens in the middle of the night and you want to drive away, you just hop in the driver's seat and you can pretty much drive away. Unlike with a fifth wheel, where you have to get out of the trailer, walk over to the truck, start the truck, a little different. The Class A, you can easily pull along a car, but with the fifth wheel, you've got your transportation built in. You're just going to unhook your truck and drive around in that. So between these various things, there are plus and minuses. And one of the most exciting parts, if you decide I'm going to be a full-time RVer or a most-time RVer, is deciding what kind of rig do I want? What am I going to be the most comfortable in, and going out and getting that like I did. So this is my video for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.